Skinwalker's Highway. Sarah Begay's headlights cut through the desert darkness on Route 264, the only car for miles on the Navajo reservation. The medical school interview in Phoenix had run late, and now, well past midnight, the familiar road home felt different. Empty, in a way that made her skin prickle. Her grandmother had begged her not to drive this stretch at night. Ye naaldlooshii, she'd warned. Skinwalker. But Sarah had smiled, called her traditional, and promised to be careful. After all, she was a child of both worlds, raised with old stories but educated in modern science. The radio crackled with static, then died. Through her windshield, the stars seemed too bright, too close. The air in her Honda grew cold despite the heater's steady hum. That's when she saw the elderly woman on the roadside. Sarah's foot hesitated over the brake. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. Never stop at night. Never help someone who seems lost. The skinwalkers, they know our weakness for helping elders. But the woman wore traditional dress, her silver and turquoise catching the moonlight. She lifted one hand in greeting, the other pressed against her side as if injured. "This isn't happening," Sarah whispered, but she was already slowing down. The medical student in her couldn't drive past someone who might need help. She pulled over, leaving the engine running. Through her side mirror, she watched the woman approach. Her limp seemed to vanish with each step. The constellation of coyote overhead appeared to dim. Sarah's phone was dead. When had that happened? The interior lights flickered as the old woman drew closer. In the rearview mirror, the figure's reflection, there wasn't one. Sarah's hands shook on the wheel as she remembered her grandmother's teachings. Skinwalkers could take any form, but they couldn't hide their nature in reflections. The thing approaching her car wasn't casting a shadow despite the bright moonlight. She slammed the car into drive just as something heavy landed on her roof. The elderly woman's face appeared at her window, but it wasn't a face anymore. The features were wrong, stretched, hungry, eyes that reflected red like an animal's. Sarah floored the accelerator. The creature clung to her roof, its claws, because they were claws now, not human hands, punching through the metal inches from her head. She screamed the protection prayers her grandmother had taught her, the ones she'd always thought were just tradition. The thing above her shrieked, not in pain, but in triumph. It knew the prayers too, had known them in life before it chose to become this. A road sign flashed past. Chapter House, 5 miles. The chapter house would have people, lights, safety. But the creature above her was trying to punch through her windshield now, the glass spiderwebbing under impacts that seemed to come from multiple limbs at once. That's when Sarah remembered what her grandmother had said about defeated skinwalkers. They'd been human once. They still thought like humans, even in their twisted forms. And they feared exposure above all else. She yanked the wheel hard right, then left, trying to shake the thing off. It laughed, a sound like coyotes dying. The windshield was about to give. Sarah grabbed her phone. It was dead, but the black screen could still show reflections. She held it up toward the cracks in the glass, camera facing outward. The creature saw itself in the dark mirror of the phone screen. For just a moment, its true form was reflected, something that had forgotten how to be human. In that instant of revelation, its grip loosened. Sarah swerved hard. The skinwalker tumbled from her roof, its howl of rage drowning out the screech of her tires. She didn't look back, didn't slow down until she saw the lights of the chapter house. She pulled into the bright parking lot, hands shaking so badly she could barely put the car in park. Deep gouges marked her roof. The windshield was a maze of cracks, but she was alive. Her phone chimed, suddenly working again. A text from her grandmother. "You're late. Did you drive through Box Canyon?" Sarah stared at the message, then at the claw marks in her car. She'd been accepted to 3 medical schools already. She understood cellular biology, pharmaceutical chemistry, modern surgical techniques. But tonight had taught her that some kinds of knowledge were just as vital as medicine. She texted back, "I'll be home soon, and can you teach me more of the old ways?" In her rearview mirror, the dark road stretched empty behind her. But far off, where the stars met the horizon, something moved like a shadow against shadows. Waiting, patient. Because on the reservation roads, the old stories never really end. They just pause, like a breath between heartbeats, until the next traveler drives past after dark. And not everyone remembers to check their mirrors for reflections that should be there, but aren't.